Hello everyone, I'm Lazy Grouse and today we're gonna go through all the units and mechanics of the dwarves that SFO Grimhammer 2 adds to the game. So first up we have Garagrim Ironfist, who is the son of Ungrim, so he's exclusive to Karakadrin, and he makes his papa proud by being a great fighter with good stats. But unlike his dad, he's a true slayer with almost no armor, so he's not the tank his daddy is. He does have some great abilities though. Come and Get Me gives him a huge melee defense boost, increases his damage but halves his speed, so it's best used while already in combat so the buff doesn't expire while he's slowly waddling towards battle. Grimnir's Charge, however, you want to activate before you get into combat as it gives him a melee attack and speed boost, but most importantly it doubles his charge bonus. And he doesn't mind taking some damage because the more damage he takes the stronger he gets, with Ancestral Blow giving him damage resistance, damage and vigor once he drops below 50%, and to die in battle buffs the entire army map wide with melee attack, damage and leadership when it drops below 25% HP. So he's an absolute beast that only gets stronger the longer the battle goes on. They also got a new variant of Thunderers with Grudge Rakers, which is a short-range shotgun that deals great damage, but since it is a shotgun, it's split over multiple projectiles with a high spread, but if you get a good hit with it, it can deal some incredible damage. And due to the spread, they're best against large targets or units with many entities so that all projectiles hit. And with Shield Breaker and high AP, they can even deal with heavily armored shielded units. So overall, they are, as Gimli would say, wasted on cross-country, but very dangerous over short distances. Next we have the Dwarf Engineers, which is a mortar unit that can deal some great damage to infantry units. Now they may not have the range of artillery mortars, but with 35 entities in the unit, they can dish out way more damage than regular artillery mortars, simply due to the number of shells they can bombard the enemy with. So one volley from these guys can just delete low armor infantry units, but that's low armor units though. They're not as good against heavy armor since most of the damage is normal damage. And unlike normal artillery units, they're no slouches in combat either. I mean, you don't want to send them into melee combat, but if they are attacked, they can hold their own until they get some backup. The Dragon Slayers are a legendary unit of Slayers, and they are the ultimate Slayer unit. They're a glass cannon like all other Slayers with low armor and melee defense, but they have a high melee attack and great damage with a ridiculous 50 bonus versus large, so they will make absolute mincemeat out of large units. They have the ability Slayer's Duty that buffs melee attack and leadership to all units map wide for 60 seconds once they drop below 50 HP, and at 50 HP they also trigger Ancestral Death Blow, which gives them damage resistance, bonus damage and vigor, and of course, since they are Slayers, they're unbreakable and got decent resistances. But being Dragon Slayers, I feel like they should have fire resistance for flavor reasons. The Everguards are two legendary elite hammer units that are exclusive to Thorgrim. The Great Hammer unit have the stats of normal hammer units but with slightly more leadership and armor sundering on attack. They also have Coordinated Carnage, which buffs the damage of all lords and heroes in range, and Dauntless Fury, which increases their AP damage and melee attack the longer they're engaged in melee. They also have Undying Oath, which is an ability given to all elite dwarf infantry, and it increases missile and physical resistance and melee defense to allies in range when below 50% health. The Shield unit have a lower melee attack, damage and charge bonus, but higher melee defense and gold shields. They also have Guardian, which increases physical resistance to lords and heroes in range, Pursuit of Battle, which increases their physical resistance and melee defense the longer they stay in battle, and Undying Oath. So they're pretty strong as they are, but this isn't even their final form. To get their full potential, Thorgrim's campaign mechanics powers them up to be way stronger. The final unit, the Ancestral Shieldbearers, is not a unit you can recruit because it's a summon that is available to lords after researching a technology for it. Or if you just want to play with them in custom battle, the basic Dwarf Lord Bellegar and Thorgrim have the ability that summons them. The Shieldbearers themselves are a unit of 10 elite Ghost Dwarfs that explodes forth when you use the ability, and they're really good. They have good combat stats with ethereal and gold shields, so they have good mitigation but very low health pool. They also have some decent support abilities for your characters with Coordinated Carnage to buff damage and Guardian to buff physical resistance. And I think they're a really cool unit, and I would love to have a version of them with a larger health pool in the recruitable roster, but they're still pretty cool as a summoned unit. The dwarves also got some changes in campaign, both to all dwarves and also their legendary lords. So first of all, the dwarves have gotten a bunch of new buildings that gives them additional options to their infrastructure, but only one of each category can be built in each settlement, and all the infrastructure buildings will unlock new technologies, which I will go through in just a bit. The herd building chain is a growth building that lowers upkeep and vigor loss in the province. The Deep Mine is an economy building that generates more money than the toolmakers, but they dig too deep and too greedily, so it causes Skaven corruption and slows armies in the province. The Vaults is a public order building chain that gives more public order than the brewery chain, which is absurd, and the public order in adjacent provinces untainted, but at the cost of lowering income from buildings in the province. And the construction chain lowers construction costs in both local and adjacent provinces, reduces construction time, and increases income for the entire province. They have also gotten Ancestral Shrines that can be built at tier 5, and they have some really powerful local and faction-wide effects, but only one can be built in each province, and each one built makes them more expensive. And as mentioned earlier, the dwarves have a bunch of new technologies that are unlocked by buildings, and each one focuses on a unit. And researching one of these will cost you Oath Gold per turn, and it gives that unit 10% more upkeep, but it allows you to give that unit one of 4 runes that will give them a strong buff. The dwarves also got 2 new campaign stances. Mining Camp replaces raiding, and unlike raiding, you don't cause negative public order, and you can do it outside your borders to gain money as usual, or inside your own provinces to increase tax income. You also get experience, you're immune to attrition, you get extra tradable resources, but you lose Oath Gold, you only get 50% movement, and you're winded in battle. The other stance is Valea's Will, which increases public order, growth, untainted, but reduces movement and increases upkeep for lords and heroes. And they also got a new commandment with Purge the Urks, which gives you bonuses against Skaven and Greenskin, interception chance, and missile damage in sieges. Thorgrim got the Everguard, and his campaign mechanics focuses heavily on buffing them. He got his own page in the Forge where he can pass decrees, which gives him some campaign buffs, but each decree also buffs the Everguard, and in a long campaign they will become absolute unkillable murder machines. He also got some technologies that is exclusive to him in Grombrindal that caps off the standard guilds tree with some strong technologies. Grombrindal is known to turn up and defend the dwarves whenever he's needed, so he got a mechanic where he will aid other armies in defensive battles as long as they're in the same province. His Ancestor Gods mechanics have also gotten some big improvements. Each of the options still does the same thing as the base game, but stronger and with extra effects. And he also gets the new technologies that Thorgrim gets. Bellegar got some improvements to his ancestor heroes. Each of them now have a unique skill line that gives some pretty powerful faction-wide effects, and the bonus he gets from capturing Karak 8 peaks have also been improved. Ungrim gets his son Garagrim Ironfist that we looked at in the beginning, and he can be recruited right from the start of the campaign. His faction also got a large boost to post-battle loot compared to the other dwarf factions to highlight his aggressive mentality. And finally we have Thorik. He hasn't gotten anything new except for some tweaks to his existing mechanics, but if you ask me, he already had the best campaign mechanics among the dwarves, so he doesn't really need anything new. And that's all the units and mechanics of the dwarves in SFO Grimhammer 2. So what do you think of the dwarves in Grimhammer? Tell me in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider leaving a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!